Hi, my name is Dan Mumm with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. In this week's video, I'm going to be talking about what makes Las Vegas different from other real estate markets. This will be a really helpful video for anyone who's moving here, maybe from another state or another part of the country, or someone who's selling a home here who hasn't sold a home here before, because it is much different and sometimes it catches people off guard. So let's jump right in. The first thing is the percentage of homes here that are owner occupied is much lower than other areas. Okay, so what does that mean? Owner occupied means a person who owns it is living in it. So there's a lot of investors here, people who own rental properties. We'll talk more about that. There's also a lot of vacation homeowners here, and there's just a lot of turnover. So overall, the market here is just not as heavy on the owner-occupied side, which changes the entire market dynamic. There's a lot more vacant homes. The rental market's a lot different here. There's a lot more rentals. So that's one thing. The second thing is that the market here is not very seasonal. One of the most common questions I get, and I've made another video about this, is when's the best time to sell? When's the best time to buy? What time of year? What about this time? But really, overall, Vegas is not very seasonal, and that's because, for my next point, it's a very highly transient city. There's a lot of people moving in and out very quickly. People move about every 3 years, whereas some parts of the country, it's on average every 10 or 20 years. Overall, I think 7 years is the average. So there's two things that means. One is school zones are actually not as important here as they are in other markets. Now, they are still very important, especially in the higher price points, really $400,000 and above, where you start to see more established families. Of course, everyone's looking at school zones, but when we're talking about the entry-level condos and townhomes, they're not really looked at all here. And then another factor with this, with it being more transient, homes are actually not prepped for sale like they are in other markets. And this frustrates a lot of buyers because they come from the Midwest or the East Coast where everyone fixes up their house before they put it on the market, and that's kind of the standard and that's customary. And here it's not. I mean, you'll look at a lot of houses that just, they're investors that own them, someone rented them out, and now they just throw it up for sale and they try and get it sold. So that's a big difference between Vegas and other areas. Two final points. One, on the financial side, we use title and escrow here. There's no attorneys, or you don't need to use an attorney. This is good because it saves you money. So if you're selling a house, you don't need to have an attorney represent you. You can use a realtor, or you can try it on your own, or you could just use a title and escrow company. But most times people are using realtors and a title and escrow company to kind of facilitate things. One other point here that I had to mention, the contracts here are very buyer favored compared to other areas. So if you're looking to sell a house, this might frustrate you, but there's no real financial tie down to the option period. In other areas, if you're going to put an offer on a house, you have to put some money down, and if you back out, you have some money at risk. It's not always a lot. But here, there's no tie down to that. A buyer could cancel at any time for any reason with no penalty, and there's multiple contingencies within a sale that make it very buyer favored here. It's not very seller favored, unfortunately. We'd like to see it a little bit more balanced, but it's just the reality of the market. So hopefully that video is helpful, maybe if you're thinking about moving here, or if you have a property you want to sell. If you have any other questions, my contact information is below, and thanks so much for watching.